Hi, I'm Kelly,
And I'm Deborah, and that's Bella.
who's joining us together with two gals travel tips and a dog. So I was at work this week, and one of the gals said to me, Kelly, can you do a safari? Does it have to be crazy expensive? How much would a safari cost? So it got me thinking that a lot of people don't know that you can do a safari on a budget. Now, we're going to do two versions of this trip, and then next week we'll do a third. The first version is on our $1,500 budget trip. This isn't what I would recommend unless this is the only way you can do it, because a safari is better than no safari. So we are going to go to Boston to South Africa via Zurich. We have an 11-hour layover in Zurich. I love a good layover. It's during the day. Zurich's a beautiful city. You can see a lot of the city in that time. And on such a long flight, it is a nice break to be able to stretch your legs.
Yeah, take advantage of a long layover for sure.
Right. So the last time I went to South Africa on vacation, it's a long flight, and then we drove right from Johannesburg to the safari area. And I would not recommend that. We were exhausted, but it's like, I don't know how many days of traveling that was by the time, because you can fly to the safari area or you can drive. And I always like to drive. I love to drive. So we opted to drive, but we should have stayed in Joburg for the first day. So our car rental is $57 for the week and per person. And this is based on 2 people, this safari, but it can easily be done for 4 people. And then...
and the flight was...
Yeah, the $846. So, and that's in September. So, so you have to remember, South Africa is, completely on the other side of the world. So when it's winter here, it's summer there. So they are just getting out of winter. It's their spring. They have a wet season and a dry season. September is still the dry season.
It's a good time to go.
It is a good time to go. So the reason you want to go on safari to, I can speak to South Africa or Zimbabwe, at that time of the year is that there's no rain, so that the vegetation hasn't had a chance to grow. So it's easy that the seeing animals is much easier at that time of the year than it is in their summer when it's rainy season and everything's lush. On the flip side, when it's lush and food is abundant and water is abundant, that's when all the babies are born. So,
gotta take your...
Yeah. So, just think of what's important to you. By and large, it is considered the better time of the year to go. It is cold when you get up in the morning to do your safari. So bring a warm coat, a hat, maybe some gloves, warmer clothes. It's not, you think you're going to Africa, you're going to be hot. It's not. So we're from Maine. It's not that bad, but it's definitely tolerable. But you're out in those open safari vehicles and it's chilly. So,
Yep.
Just think about that. Also, this is a place you'd want to visit your physician to figure out if you need malaria meds, if you need any typhoid medication, if you're inoculated against hepatitis A. So, just take precautions. It's not scary. So you could definitely do this, but you should just take your precautions. So to do this, do a safari on a budget. Honestly, South Africa is the only place I know, and I don't know every place, that you can do this on such a reasonable budget. So we are going to go to Kruger National Park, which is one of the best areas in the world to see wildlife. And we are going to buy a wild card, and the wild card will give you entry into the park It's $50, and we're going to do a self-drive safari. So you can, in Kruger, you can take your car rental. It's all paved roads, and drive around, and hope you see something. there is, and there's a lot to, luck in a safari. But there is also, the guides really, they have radios, so they'll talk to each other. They'll know where the wildlife is. There is a book on Amazon of all the different areas of Kruger and where you're most likely to see game. So that's something to see. I have us staying at the Lower Sabi huts, and for the 5 nights, that is only $65 a night, or $68.75. So I mean, that's like very inexpensive. However, it's self-catering, so we're gonna have to do groceries. Some of the rest stops in Kruger do have restaurants, but they're kind of expensive, to be honest. So, and the food's not great. So, if you want to do safari, this is a way you can do it. You can go in Joburg, get yourself a cooler, fill it up, with provisions. It's not camping. You're
Right.
in a hut, and they have a communal kitchen. And it looks really nice. There's one hut in Kruger that there's a fence, and you can sit on the side of the fence, and then there's wildlife on the other side, and there's every evening there's hyenas that walk up and down.
So
It's like
wild.
Yeah, so I mean, you can YouTube those huts. They look fine. The only reason I would not do this safari by choice is the guide. The guides, they teach you a lot about the animals. They know where to find them. It's just amazing everything they know. And that in itself is worth it for the guide. So that came in at $1,426.75. So we're under our $1,500, and we are going all the way to Africa, South Africa, and doing a 5-day safari.
I mean, that is completely unheard of. I don't think anybody would imagine that they can go and go to South Africa on safari for less than $1,500 per person, and that's only traveling 2 people.
Exactly. So, it's definitely doable. It is absolutely doable. And if that's your budget, go. It's a magical place. And then there's the 3rd biggest canyon in the world is in outside of Kruger. And so that's you can drive there. So generally when you go on safari, you get up really early in the morning and you go out, because that's when the animals are active. And then you come back, you have your breakfast, and kind of have a siesta, and then you go out in the late afternoon. You cannot do a night safari in Kruger without a ranger, because the rangers are looking for poachers. So you can't just drive around on your own at night in Kruger. So if you're interested in a night safari, you have to pay and go with a guide. So the other option is staying at an all-inclusive safari lodge. I'll include pictures. This is a safari lodge I stayed at the last time. In fact, the next series we're going to do is another lodge that I've stayed in. I actually broke my last day up into first at this lodge, and then some time at the second one. It is, the food was fantastic. It's very nice. It's not the Hyatt, but you're on safari. But the owner of, it's a private safari lodge. So what means in a private safari lodge, it's not paved roads. He actually owns the section of land, and the animals live there. It abuts Kruger National Park, and he knows an amazing amount about these animals. And it's actually 2 resident cheetah brothers that live, and they'll kind of walk into the lodge and out, and cheetahs don't attack humans. I didn't know that until I got there. And this family has a history of releasing orphaned animals. They raise them and releasing back to the wild. And these two brothers are examples. So they're, they're not domesticated because they're out, hunting. They're wild animals. However, they are very used to people. So that's, where else can you do that? That she doesn't sit by the pool. Unfortunately, that didn't happen when I was there. I was dying for that to happen, but it did not. But, we got out of our safari one day, and there the brothers are, and they're like sitting in front of somebody's lodge. Now, we were there just as COVID opened up to South Africa. So we were at that lodge, and we were the only two people at the lodge the whole time. And then while we were at the second lodge, the first United flight from New York landed. So, we were in our safari, the second one, for a few days before anybody else showed up. And then, so glad to have people back.
Right.
It did not include alcohol and non-alcoholic drinks. However, it included 2 safaris a day and, all that knowledge and, a resort style. The food was fantastic, way more than you could eat. And that was $18.28. So for the $400 difference, if you can afford it, it's so well worth it to just go to that other level. And there's tons of places in, Greater Kruger area where you can choose. But this is where I chose. And next week we'll do a deeper dive on a little more of an exclusive place.
Wonderful. Now, if you are staying at this all-inclusive place, you can go into Kruger as well. You can still get a pass to go in there.
Oh yeah, and I don't know where the closest gate is. So, Kruger National Park is, I think, the size of Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. So there are, gates along the way. I don't know where the closest gate was. We did go to Blythe River Canyon while we were there. That's the 3rd biggest canyon in the world. We did a river cruise down the canyon, and as well as some stops. So we did that in the middle of the day. There was also, it's like a little town we went into, and then they had like a farmer's market one Saturday we were there. So we did do some other things. Yeah, but Kruger is definitely something to see. Oh, so what I was gonna say. So if you're in a private safari lodge, you can do what's called bondabashing, and that's like African off-roading. So you can, if the lion is going off, like you can just, and they'll go over trees, like it's crazy. So, and the Jeeps that they're in are like the 1970s. I'm like, my car wouldn't last 3 years, and you're like bondabashing all over, here chasing lions. So that's really fun in itself. So, again, and so far in Kruger, it's paved roads. You stay on the paved road. That's the way it is. But the variety of wildlife in that area is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So again, 2 different options, really affordable options.
Yeah. So if you've ever been wanting to do it, you absolutely need to book it and go before everybody and their mother goes back to regular travel and take advantage of it. And especially with airfare so cheap to go to South Africa. I mean, this is really a great cause, a really great price to do that.
And, almost every place you go in Southern Africa, like Zambia or Namibia or Mombasa, you fly into Johannesburg. So it's kind of the hub anyway of that area. So.
Yeah, and you've walked around and done things in Johannesburg. You've gone to, the tabletop and, that area, right?
Yeah, so that's in Cape Town.
Oh, Cape Town. Yep.
So we stayed in the business district. That's where this Hotel Radisson Blue is. That's where I stayed. It has parking, and it's walkable to Nelson Mandela Square. The Hard Rock's there. There's a great gift shop.
She's always
I
about
know.
getting things.
There's this gift shop in Pretoria that has like just everything you'll find from like all over. And the guy is so super nice. So when I was at that little farmer's market, I bought a little end table. And my husband's like, "How are you gonna get that home?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm gonna do it though. Like I will do it." So he's like, "It's not even gonna fit in your duffel," and I got it to fit in the duffel. So then I brought it back to our safari lodge, and the gal, it was a Kelly there, and she goes, Kelly, did you buy a drum?" I'm like, "No, I didn't buy a drum." So then like somebody else was like, "Kelly told me you bought a drum." I said, "No, I didn't buy a drum. It looks like a drum." And I would show you what it is, but I will never get this thing back zipped. So I go fast forward. We're back in Joburg, and I got there like a day early because it was new to COVID. I had no idea how long the COVID tests were going to take, so we like had extra time. So we go to this gift shop that I had been to with a tour guide, and I couldn't remember the name of it. So I, like, while we were in South Africa, I texted him and I said, "What is the name of that place?" So he tells me. So we go, and so I buy this like elephant mask, and now I don't know how I'm getting that home, right? And so I'm like, so he's like, "Oh, I think you can." I said, "Well, could you ship it? And I have this other thing that I got, in the village, and could you ship that?" And he goes, "Yeah, well, how big is it?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He goes, "Well, just measure it and tell me the measurements." I'm like, "You know what? I'm going to bring it back." So I bring it back. I go, because it wasn't that far. We go to the hotel, bring it back. And he goes, "Really? It's going to cost you too much to ship." He bubble wrapped my entire bag for me. So he like just bubble wrapped the thing inside my bag, as well as I bought this elephant mask, and at the market I also bought this like mask, regular mask, traditional mask, and he wrapped them all for me. Nice guy. I did buy a lot of stuff there, but he was a super nice guy. But the prices are good there, and there's a lot of variety. Yeah. So one-stop shopping.
So apparently it's worth it to go to Johannesburg and do some shopping before you go, but you just have to calculate how you're going to get it home.
Yes, don't forget that.
And you continue to subscribe to our channel. We do little videos on how to get things through security, through customs, through TSA, because Kelly is the queen of getting things back home, which you wouldn't have considered that you'd be able to get on a plane and get them back, for sure. But if you are finding, this information helpful, useful, informational, please hit the subscribe button or send us a like. And also drop us a comment. Tell us what other cities that you want us to deep dive into, and see if we can get you a flight that's under $1,500 per person.
We'll see you in the next one.
Let's break down those costs that we talked about. Here we have the total trip budget at $1,426.75. And as you can see, the airfare came in at $846. That's on Swiss Air from Boston to Johannesburg. It has an 11.5-hour layover, so not bad to rest up. And here we have our lodging, as Kelly mentioned, to get a hotel in Johannesburg before you depart to the camp. And then, of course, on your return before you fly out, stay a night in a hotel in Johannesburg as well. Here's your hut at the camp, and that's $68.75 per person for those 5 days. And your food and groceries, come in at $175, especially because remember you have a communal kitchen as well. And then your wild card to be able to get in, and then you've got your car rental and your other incidentals, which we always include as well. Here, so there you have it. $1,426.75 for a 5-day safari in South Africa. It can be done for under $1,500 per person. If you found this content helpful, please subscribe, send us a like, tell us where else you'd like us to deep dive, and we'll be happy to break it down. And until next time.
Bye.